On November 1, 2022, Survivio began cycling old seasons, marking the end of the game. The player base was at the lowest it had ever been, and the game was almost unplayable. This is the death of Survivio.
A game that used to boast over 10,000 players. Now it's just a huge shell of its former self.
I stopped playing about a year ago because the devs just stopped updating the game. And this is Survivio. I used to play this.
So I made the mistake of playing Survive.io almost exclusively for the past 2 years.
Survivio was created by two developers named Justin Kim and Nick Clark in 2017 during the rise of Battle Royale games. In the beginning, it was extremely simple with no buildings and only a handful of guns. Every player was equal and there weren't many mechanics that could give you the upper hand. Over the months following its release, new guns, buildings, and crates would be added to the game. On April 1, 2018, Justin and Nick would add Easter mode, one of many modes to come. New modes would become something for Surviv players to look forward to, happening around holidays or whenever the devs felt like it. Survivio quickly became one of the most popular games in the IO genre, hitting its all-time peak in mid-June 2018. After its peak, the game had a major dip in popularity, but an update or two later Surviv was back on its feet, still going strong. This was around the time that we would begin to see the rise of Survivio on YouTube, with I Has You, Dope Mope, and I Have Velocity gaining hundreds of thousands of views off the game in the beginning. In mid-2018, a rift was forming in the community as a new mechanic called quick switching began to emerge. It took a while to catch on, but slowly more and more players began to use it. Because of quick switching, new players would get slaughtered by more experienced players who knew about it. This led to an extremely large skill gap between people starting out and players who had been around for a while, making it much harder for new players to stick with the game. The game started to reach an all-time low following the release of the club, so Justin and Nick made a decision that would change the course of Surviv.io, forever. Kongregate would acquire Surviv.io from Justin and Nick in December 2019. The game's main menu was one of the first things that changed, putting more of a focus on the relatively new Seasons Pass and not actually playing the game. Kongregate would add new modes every once in a while, and it wasn't looking too bad. The game wasn't as popular anymore, but lobbies still filled all the way. Everything seemed to be going alright until 2020 rolled around and we would begin to see the rise of Ice Hacks. Although Ice Hacks was originally created back in 2018, it would be in 2020 that it started to become popular. Instead of taking the time to get skilled at the game and learning how to quick switch, inexperienced players could just download hacks and get an easy advantage. The game became infested with hackers, leading many players to get mad and quit. What was the point of practicing when anybody could just download a sketchy link and become a living helicopter? Kongregate did make an attempt to fix this problem with an anti-cheat, but Ice Hacks just updated a few hours later and the hackers were back. It looked like there was no hope of getting rid of hackers. Players would have to live with them or quit. One thing players would notice about Kongregate is that they seemed more interested in adding cosmetics than actual in-game features. Why put effort into actual programming when you could just make a couple skins and emotes and call it today? Instead of having special modes come on at random, Kongregate made a weekly cycle and there would be a different mode every day of the week and repeat. On November 3, 2020, Surviv.io got its last new mode called Inferno mode. It was an extremely lazy mode that was just a hellish reskin of the normal map with a flamethrower added in and a couple perks. 2 weeks after Inferno mode came out, Surviv would receive the Prestige system. If you were logged in, you could spectate a player after you died and either choose to report the and take away Prestige or endorse the player and give them 1 Prestige. If a player was reported enough, they would get banned. This led to many extremely good players getting their accounts banned because people couldn't distinguish a skillful player from a hacker. It was around this time that we would see many YouTubers and pro players quitting. SV98 Gaming, November 24, 2020. I Have Velocity, December 14, 2020. Cyper, December 29, 2020. Over the course of 2021 many YouTubers would upload their last Surviv.io video, and everyday players would close the Surviv.io tab in their browser for the last time. After Inferno mode, Kongregate had effectively given up on the game, and after they dropped the Seasons Pass there seems to be no hope for the game. The main website for the game is broken, making it so that players have to go to proxy sites to even play. But, maybe this was inevitable. Every game loses popularity over time, and the peak of IO games is long gone. We might have been able to slow it down, but maybe in the end there was nothing that we could have done to prevent the downfall of Surviv.io.
As they say, nothing good lasts forever.